I was thinking about conflict with others and how that plays a role with the law of attraction, or what role it plays with law of attraction. And this is another one of those things I don't really hear anyone talk about, and I could be wrong. Maybe there's people out there who have spoken about it and I just didn't catch it or whatever. But in terms of a lot of the LOA YouTubers and content creators that I've been watching over the years, I haven't really heard, like, I've heard them speak about conflict in relation to it just causing negative energy and not making you feel good and that affecting your manifestation. However, I've never heard it in relation to how it affects your affirmations. Now, what had me thinking about this was today I was having a little bit of baby daddy drama, and I was just thinking about my child's father, and I was like, oh my God, like, and I remember, like, I mean, you can judge me for this all you want, I'm human, but I remember just feeling like he was an idiot for something that he did, and I was just like, you're so dumb, like, why would you, and I'm thinking about him, and I'm going, you're so dumb, and then I had this, like, realization where I was like, oh my God, the mind doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know the difference. It thinks you're talking to yourself. So you know how in moments sometimes you'll be like, I am, you'll be like, I am smart, I am intelligent, I am productive, I am confident, whatever. And you're like trying to either talk life into yourself, or it's just like a natural kind of thing where you're just like, I'm so smart. Like, girl, I can't believe I just did that. I'm so smart. Because you just have a moment. Or you'll say stuff like, you need to complete this thing by this deadline. Like, I can't believe I didn't finish my assignment. Like, you have to finish it. And you're talking to yourself and you're being a little harsh on yourself. Sometimes you talk to yourself in a you, like, point of view. At least I do, like a second point of view. So I had this like realization where when you're in conflict with other people and you're going you're in your head and you're like cussing them out in your head, you're essentially and effectively insulting yourself. The universe can't tell the difference. Your subconscious cannot tell the difference, because your subconscious and the universe are one, because they are. And that's like big brain thinking, but it's true, So your brain's like soaking that up. So if you're consistently around, say you're in a relationship and it's toxic or it's abusive and they're constantly calling you mean things and you're calling them mean things back or whatever, and it's just bad or unhealthy, you're effectively insulting yourself all the time. Like, double the insult. When they insult you, it's an insult and you're repeating it in your head. And when you're insulting them, you're insulting yourself. So whenever people say, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but the whole whatever they did to you it's already done to them, right? Like, whenever you want to kind of console someone because they've been hurt badly by someone else, and someone kind of throws in the phrase, whatever they did to you, it's already done to them. Whatever they did to you is already done to you. Like, oh my God. And when you think about it, it's true, because it's like whatever you're saying to someone else, even if you're just saying it in your head and you're protecting them from it, you're doing to yourself. You're like, that's insane. I'm like, you're eating the poison that you're trying to dish out to other people. So I kind of had to check myself there, because I was like, yeah, sure, what he did was not very smart. That's okay. He's only human. He's learning. It's his first time here, just like it's yours, just like it's yours. And I have to accept that, but I can't, like, oh my, I was like, wow. I had the realization where I was like, I can't believe I'm insulting myself I'm insulting him through me. And because of that, I'm insulting myself. That's crazy. And so whenever it is that you have these thoughts about other people, girl, you gotta stop and think about it, because you may just be doing to yourself something you're trying to dish out to somebody else. Truly, even if you're in the right, even if you feel like you're being wronged by someone, while you're being in defense of yourself, you're actually harming yourself. That's why being the bigger person will always pay off. Promise you that. And also, judgment. So I have a good friend. I love her deeply and dearly. I really do. It's just I've grown distant from her for several reasons. It's just, she says a lot of things. She complains a lot, but she doesn't seem to take any action in terms of those complaints. And I don't really like those kinds of people. It's like, you can complain about something long enough, but at some point it starts dragging everyone else around you down too. And then if I try to volunteer information, I feel like I'm just giving you unsolicited advice, because I don't know how much advice you actually want. I think you just want an ear, and I can be an ear, but I can't be an ear forever. You're complaining about the same thing. It's been like 5 years, you know? At some point, things have to change, and I can't change you. I can't do that for you. So it's like, I love you and I want to support you, but I can't, you know? So I've had to grow distant from her. We just catch up every once in a while, but she's someone I love deeply and dearly, and if she were to call me in an emergency, I'd be there for her in a heartbeat. But there was something about this judgment she was constantly afraid of. She was always afraid of being judged by strangers and by other people, just in general, which is normal. We all are. However, I noticed this common theme where I felt like she was very judgmental of others. And at one point, I was like, whoa, I had like a realization where I was like, oh, the reason why you feel people are judging you all the time is because you walk through life judging others. And she did it in that innocent way, in that way that people who self-proclaim that they're non-judgmental are. I'm judgmental. I mean, I notice certain people's behaviors, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have any opinions about it. I do. However, she proclaims to be non-judgmental, but she is very judgmental, and she just doesn't know it about herself, which is, it creates a shame cycle, right? You don't know it about yourself, and so because of that, you feel victimized by the world almost, right? So then you end up projecting who you are onto other people. Instead of accepting it's who you are, you project who you are onto other people. Similarly to how, like, I knew someone who was an addict. They were suffering addict. I remember at the time I wasn't addicted to anything, but you would drink around them even once and they'd be like, okay, alcoholic, and you're like, the fuck is wrong with you? And it was because they were an addict and they were struggling, but they didn't know it about themselves. It was a truth they didn't accept yet, you know, so they projected. Anyways, so she just goes about life and she's consistently convinced people are judging her. And the kind of judgment that she does, the innocent kind, is she'll be like on the internet and she'll judge someone's moral character. She'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe this mom did that. And she, like, I can't even begin to imagine what kind of person she must be when the camera's turned off. And I'm just like, you don't realize you can't form such strong opinions about people after a 15-second video, right? Like, you think you're on this moral high horse. You think that what you're doing isn't wrong. You think that the judgment you're passing right now is decent. It's in good faith, which sure, it very well might be. However, what that's doing is it's damaging you from the inside. Now you walk through life afraid that you're being morally judged by other people simply for existing, because you've had moments where you've done that to others and you don't realize you're doing it. Again, so I remember I had that honest conversation with her. She was like, hold on, I didn't use those words verbatim because that just sounds very clinical and cold, but it wasn't in those words. I just kind of explained to her that I felt like, hey, you know, maybe the way that you kind of approach life, maybe that's like reflecting back to you whenever you go out in public and you feel like you're being judged. And she was like, yeah, you know, I never considered that. And that's one very powerful thing about her, is she will consider other people's opinions and perspectives. So I'm like, you know, whatever, I wish her the absolute best. So I that's another thing too, is we project onto the world what it is that we are secretly. And on top of that, like, man, when you're going around insulting other people, baby, like, it's the pot calling the kettle black. Like, not even the pot calling the kettle black. It's like, what you're doing onto them, you're doing to yourself already. Like, be careful, really be careful. So conflict with others can really go against your manifestations. It really can. And if you have a fear of being seen, that goes hand in hand with the fear of being judged or criticized harshly or scrutinized or ridiculed in one way or another. So it's like, keep that in mind. And keep in mind how you're passing judgment onto other people. You may be ridiculing people without realizing it. You may be passing out, like, what's the word, scrutiny to others without realizing that you're doing it because you think it's in good cause. And then what that ends up doing is it ends up making you afraid of judgment. It makes you afraid of being seen. It makes you afraid of experiencing the world the way that you should. And if you're someone who feels like their highest calling is in the sphere of either be social media or content creation, or you're like a musician or you're an artist, like, your passion lies in the very essence of being visible to other people, you cannot be afraid of being seen. You can't be afraid of being judged. You need to embrace it. You need to not care. So just like my friend, like, really tune in to what it is that you're doing consistently. Like, are you constantly judging other people? Or are you like, oh my God, yo, that's cringe to other people? Because if that's the case, if you see cringe everywhere you go, then you're going to feel cringe. Promise you that. That's how I feel about those comments. Whenever I see comments of people calling other people cringe, I'm like, I bet you're very cruel to yourself mentally. Like, I bet you hate yourself. Like, anyways, I had that thought, and I mean, goodness, love, and prayers, you know, sorrows and prayers to my baby daddy. I am never thinking that about him again, because I was like, well, I'm calling myself that, you know, because obviously I'm not going to say that out loud. I try not to be petty, but it's like, instead of saying it out loud, I'm like thinking it, and it's like, that's poison. That's poison to the mind, and I'm poisoning myself, and I don't want that. Had to spit that out. Had to spit it out 3 times. Okay. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Love ya.